Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my performance review of the Nike KD 16. So of course this is Kevin Durant's 16th signature shoe with Nike, and it retails for 160 bucks. So if you guys do want to cop, I try to leave the affiliate link in the description box. KD's signature shoe line is kind of like, it used to be kind of like very top tier pricing, you know, starting from the KD 8, but then they started to bring the price down from the KD 12. And they kept it around 150, 160 bucks, which I think is pretty cool. The tech is still pretty damn good. So as far as the tracciones goes, here in this colorway, we have a pretty much a fully translucent rubber. And around the perimeter of the outsole, we have like this off-white color, right? And also as far as the pattern goes, we have some gears, which is pretty interesting, right? So how is the traction? So the traction is actually pretty damn good once you break it in. When I first got it, it wasn't that good. The bite just wasn't great, but I started to break it in, kept playing in it, and it actually got significantly better. So if you're playing on a clean court, you're gonna have really good stops. I wouldn't say it's like top tier, but it's still really good, right? So clean court, you're gonna have a good time. If you're playing on a dusty court, however, it wasn't the best for me, right? So I'm playing on a variety of surfaces right now, or actually a variety of gyms. So I'm going to a 24-hour fitness court. I'm going to LA Fitness as well. And the LA Fitness that I go to, the court is actually pretty new. They recently just resurfaced it. The 24-hour fitness is pretty dirty, right? So when I was playing on the LA Fitness court, I was having a very good time. But then when I took this shoe, even after breaking it in, and I had a good time with this shoe in the LA Fitness court. And then the next day, or in a couple days after, I would go to the 24-hour fitness court. I wouldn't really have a good time because the 24-hour fitness court is a little bit dirtier, it's a little bit dustier as well, and it just wouldn't bite very well on a dusty setting, right? No matter how much I wiped, it just wouldn't be a great stop, right? So if you're playing on a super dusty court, just don't expect the best performance. It wasn't terrible, however, it just wasn't amazing, so just be careful on the dust. And as far as the durability goes, the durability seems pretty good. You know, the rubber is actually kind of hard, the grooves are deep, and also there's a lot of surface area. As you guys can see, there's a lot of rubber covering the surface of the entire outsole. So durability, I feel like, would be pretty good on an outdoor court. So once you do break in the traction for the KD 16, it is actually pretty damn good, just not the best on dust, right? And now moving on to the heel to toe transition, is actually pretty damn smooth, right? So here in the heel, we have a nice rounded shape and pretty much fully exposed midsole. So it is actually pretty soft here in the heel. And then in the forefoot, we have a nice curved shape as well, giving you a nice rocking motion from heel to toe and a good, just a little bit of forefoot flex, right? Actually, it flexes a lot, but you have to put a good amount of force into it, right? Because of this plate here. So, as you guys can see, we have a little bit, I guess a few more gears, I guess, right? But we have exposed this plastic midfoot shake plate, but also it's not just here in the midfoot, it extends here into the forefoot as well. And it kind of ends at the tip of the toe a little bit here, right? So this plastic, of course, gives it a little bit more rigidness and also a little bit more, just a tiny bit more springiness as well. I mean, if it was carbon fiber, it would be a little bit more springy, but because it's plastic, it's not, right? But you still have a little bit of that as well. So overall, heel to toe transition does feel pretty damn smooth. And now moving on to the cushioning setup, that is what they changed the most, especially from the past, like they've had the full length zoom strobe unit since the 12, right? 12, 13, 14, 15. So for the past 4 models, they've had full length zoom strobe, right? But here in the KD 16, they actually changed it up. So here in the heel, we have an air strobe unit, which I do like. It's soft, there's a nice bit of compression, but also it's really comfortable. And zoom strobe, there's a lot of PSI. It's actually, the air pressure is pretty high, so you have a lot of like force coming back at you, right? Which does feel nice at times. But in my personal opinion, the air strobe unit is just a little bit softer, which I do like, especially when you're just walking around, right? And once you start playing in it, it starts to get a little bit more bouncy. Of course, not as bouncy as zoom, but the air strobe unit still feels very nice in the heel. And then in the forefoot, we have a very large volume zoom unit, which is bottom loaded, right? And in my first impressions, I couldn't really feel it all too much, but once I started really playing it, kind of breaking in a little bit, the forefoot zoom unit actually feels very nice. It reminds me a lot of like the old school full length zoom setups, you know what I mean? Like in the KD 11, for example, but of course, it's only in the forefoot for the KD 16. So you have a nice bit of bounce. Of course, it's not as bouncy as like full-length zoom strobo or like a zoom strobo unit would be in the forefoot, which of course is a little too much for me at times, but this is a nice little bit of bounce, right? You have nice bounce, you have nice compression as well here in the forefoot and also in the heel. And as far as the foam goes, the foam is actually quite soft as well. They're probably using some type of Cushlon, and there's a good amount of compression. It's comfortable. Heel strikes are going to be good to go. Impact protection is great as well. You have very good underfoot cushioning too from the Air Strobo unit and the Zoom unit in the forefoot. It just does everything well. It has pretty good court feel too, so overall cushioning setup is great. You know, I feel like most people will like it because I really enjoyed it as well. And now moving on to the material. So we have a multi-layered mesh material, right? And as far as the quality goes, for 160 bucks, it definitely isn't great. This mesh does feel a little like, it feels a little cheap, you know? And also this material that goes around the entire perimeter of this upper, it's like this like synthetic material as well. It doesn't feel great for quality, but it gets the job done on foot, right? So as you guys can see, it's super duper soft. Like it broke in very nicely. It conforms to my foot very well. Also, it overall feels like on the thinner side of things, right? So it does feel pretty minimal, especially here in the toe box. And it feels super supportive, especially with all this synthetic material going around the perimeter of the upper, right? And then here in the midfoot, it stays kind of thin, but more on the rigid side. It's pretty supportive because we have, it looks like a shark fin to me a little bit, right? It's just this plastic material. And then as far as the tongue goes, we do have a good amount of padding as well. It feels pretty nice and cozy on top of your foot with a half booty construction tongue, giving you a better overall one-to-one fit. And then here in the ankle area, I would say there's like an average amount of padding. You know, it's nothing crazy or anything like that, but it does feel kind of cozy here in the back of the shoe as well. So, you know, for 160 bucks, quality, not the best, but I feel like it gets a job done on foot pretty damn well. It just does everything that I want it to do. You know what I mean? Like it's thin, it's supportive, it conforms to my foot pretty well. It's overall pretty cozy too here in the back of the shoe, like on top of my foot as well from the tongue. So the overall upper, I really didn't mind all too much. And now moving on to the fit. So I don't know what Nike's up to, but all of their shoes for me personally have been running short, and I did go up half a size for the KD16 and it fits me very well, right? So pretty much lengthwise, going up half a size, my toes go pretty much very close to the edge of the shoe. Also here in the toe box, it is quite snug, and width-wise, it is slightly narrow. That's what KDs are known for. I guess KD has a very skinny foot, right? Fits me pretty much like a glove perfectly. So going up half a size, it was really good for me, and I would suggest most of you guys go up half a size if you want a pretty snug fit. If you want a super duper snug fit, maybe go true to size, but just be careful on that. Like I said, most people go up half a size. If you have a very wide foot or you want a super roomy fit, probably go up probably like a full size, you know what I mean? And now moving on to the support and lockdown. Support and lockdown was really good for me, right? So lateral containment, I was good to go. You know, so as you guys can see, we have this synthetic material, right? It stiffens up the material here in the forefoot, acting as a sidewall a little bit. Here in the midfoot, we have this plastic piece, and then here in the heel, we have an internal TPU heel counter, giving you a good lateral support. So my foot was not coming out of the footbed really at all. And also lateral stability was good too. You know, we have a little bit of an outrigger, right? But it is a pretty wide base here in the forefoot, so overall lateral stability was very good. One thing that I did experience a little bit though was, it wasn't heel slippage, but my heel didn't feel all the way locked down for some reason, right? So I was playing in shoes like, you know, the Shockwave 5, you know, Kyrie shoe. I was playing the Jordan 38s. I'm playing in the All Pro Nitros as well. And the KD16, like I said, it wasn't heel slippage, right? But it didn't feel fully locked down in the heel for me, right? So obviously it wasn't a deal breaker, and also it wasn't really something that I hated or anything. It just, I wish the heel lockdown was a little bit better. That's all, you know what I mean? So hopefully you guys don't experience terrible heel slippage, but for me, it wasn't terrible, right? So I guess that was the only lockdown issue that I had, but overall, everything else, my foot felt pretty locked into the shoe, and also the shoe felt very supportive, right? Now moving on to the weight of the shoe. If I remember correctly, it was like around average, maybe a little bit heavier, right? Yeah, so 13.3 ounces. Let's check the other shoe. 13.2 ounces. So the average weight of my shoes are around 12.5 ounces. So not super light, but also not super heavy. You know what I mean? It's just like a pretty normal feeling shoe. Also wasn't super responsive. You know what I mean? Like when I was playing on a clean court, I felt very responsive, right? But when I was playing on a dusty court, like on 24-hour fitness court, I didn't feel very quick because the traction just wasn't sticking that well, right? And also the cushion is a little bit on the softer side of things, so it's not super responsive as well for the cushioning setup. I mean, it's not super mushy or anything like that, but compared to something a little bit more stiff, it's not as responsive, right? So yeah, not the most responsive feeling shoe, but I did still feel pretty quick, especially when I was playing on the LA Fitness court, which was like the newly resurfaced court, right? And now moving on to the ventilation. Ventilation is okay. I mean, there's a little bit of airflow through this mesh material, but overall you have some overlays, and also through this tongue there's not a whole lot of airflow either. So ventilation, my foot was kind of warm in the KD16. And now moving on to the aesthetics, not a huge fan, honestly. Like, this colorway is super dope. I love the off-white color for the outsole, and also like the lining and the laces, and I love the gold swoosh and also this maroon color. But the overall silhouette, definitely not my favorite. So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, the KD16 was pretty good. You know what I mean? It's definitely not amazing. I definitely feel like there are other better performers out there, but the KD16 is still pretty nice, right? So if you're a guard, I feel like it's still a pretty good option, but like I said, I feel like there's better options for guards. And also, if you're a bigger dude, I still feel like there are better options for bigger dudes as well, like the Zoom GT Jump 2, you know what I mean? But it's still pretty nice. The cushion is super soft, and you know, the traction is pretty, it's okay, you know? So yeah, I mean, I feel like, you know, you can definitely make it work. So definitely it's a solid shoe, but I wouldn't say it's top tier in my personal opinion, right? Definitely the traction, especially on dust, can be better. The cushion was very nice, however, and the shoe being a little bit heavier than normal, and also my heel not feeling fully locked down. Like I said, those aren't deal breakers, but they do make the shoe come down a little bit from top tier because of those reasons, right? But anyways, that about concludes my review of the Nike KD16. Again, if you guys do want to cop, I try to leave the link in the description box, but that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.